Are you a woman standing at a crossroads, eager for change? It's time to connect with your authentic and empowered self at Boss Leap. Join Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker in this empowering community where real-life stories of courageous and talented women inspire and motivate. Engage in honest conversations that foster well-being, drawing from our own journeys. Let us guide you toward profound growth and transformation in both your personal and professional life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker.
Welcome to Boss Leap. My name is Dr. Sylvia Morris, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Angela C.B. Walker. And today we are talking to Shayla Benz of 6 Degrees of Style. Shayla is an alumni of Clark Atlanta University, as well as the Fashion Institute of Technology, and has over 20 years of experience in fashion and merchandising. Her current venture is 6 Degrees of Style, where she is able to style you and to help you develop your own personal style. But before we get into our conversation with Shayla Benz, Angela, how has your style evolved over the years?
Well, I was reflecting on this, and I think in some ways I have always been the same. I love fashion, I love colors, and I do tend to go with what feels right in the moment, not necessarily a trend per se. Now, when I first have recollections of like my style was in high school, and I came from, a private school that wore a uniform like you until the 8th grade. So there wasn't a whole lot of style going on, before then. And then I went to high school, and I was a very small little, private school, like class of, 60 to 900 students. And so in some ways you want to conform, but also, there are ways that you want to, stand out. And I don't really think of it as stand out. I just like to dress. And I think I got that from my mom and my grandmother. I mentioned before, my grandmother was a domestic, but when she dressed, she had all this jewelry. I loved going through her jewelry box. She always had like hats going to church. And so that was an inspiration for today.
Did she wear gloves?
Oh yeah. All the things, yes. And looked so good. And my mom used to tell this story, still tells the story about how my grandmother worked as a domestic. So she got a good job north of South Carolina and Pennsylvania. And so my great grandmother raised my mom. And my grandmother would always send, clothes home because she was a clothes horse. And my mom said, my grandmother used to tell my mom, stop sending this child all these clothes. But it was just fashion was in her. And I think that trickled down. My mom was a teacher, and, back in the day, and even to the day she retired, teachers dressed kind of different, I think, than today. But, they dressed really well and respectable, but she had this sense of fashion. So trickles down to me. I had this sense of fashion. I just remember liking hats. I've always loved hats.
You look great in a hat. Yes.
Thank you. I love hats. And I think my style has just evolved in the sense I have a little bit more money to spend on clothes, but it's still, I have some staples. Suits, are my go-tos in terms of like professional look and that sort of thing. So I like a tailored look, but I love colors. And I like the fact that Shayla mentioned that, you wear what looks good on you, not necessarily the trend. And that's definitely been kind of my motto. How about you? How has you are definitely the fashionista in this little group here. So how has your fashion sense evolved?
Oh, thank you. I think it's been great just being much more comfortable in my own skin and understanding that, yes, I do have curves and you can make your curves accentuate them in particular ways. And there are things that are more flattering on my body type as opposed to, some other things. I have fully embraced color And as we talk about in our conversation with Shayla, I'm just in a dress period.
Yeah.
For a long time, my go-to, especially when I worked in consulting, was, or, in the hospital, I wore a pair of pants,
Yes.
or I wore a suit, and a top and your lab coat.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I will put on a dress for any occasion, whether it's casual, whether it's formal, because I'm just sort of in that space or in that season.
I am getting, and I need to get in your. I mean, I love dresses. I'll be honest. I think my suits come from the fact that I'm so cold natured. So
Understandable.
the idea of wearing like a short sleeve dress and then my ankles will be cold. I can never. So maybe with the summertime coming up, I can get some dresses. But it honestly, my suits I think come more from a practical standpoint of comfort. But yeah, you've got some lovely dresses, and I do love a nice tailored dress. So
in our conversation with Shayla, she talked about how style is deeply personal.
Yes.
So you want to keep your ankles covered, please keep your ankles covered.
Yeah.
And so fashion is fun, and how we use it is just a reflection of who we are as individuals.
Yeah.
So we have a wonderful conversation with Shayla Benz of 6 Degrees of Style. And the next voice you hear will be Shayla Benz on Boss Leap. Welcome to Boss Leap. I'm here today with my co-host, Dr. Angela Walker, and I am Dr. Sylvia Morris. And Angela, I am so excited today. You have no idea.
Oh, I do.
We are talking all things fashion, and we have Shayla Benz today. So Shayla, welcome to Boss Leap.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to talking fashion on this wonderful Sunday.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give our audience sort of the backstory on how we came to have this conversation. Okay. So the Met Gala, which was the theme this year in 2025, was super fine, tailoring Black style, a celebration of Black dandyism, and the importance of clothing and style in the formation of Black identities. So before the Met Gala, you and Lavon posted this absolutely spectacular, I'm going to call it sort of a fashion journey on Instagram. I saw it. The next time I saw both you and Lavon, I was like, oh my God, that was fire. I think the kids say it was hitting.
Okay.
It's just absolutely fantastic. So in looking at that, and I love fashion and style. On our girls' trips, Angela and I and the girls, we always go shopping. So we wanted to have you on. So welcome to Boss Leap.
Yes.
And can you please share with us sort of what first drew you into fashion?
It's been one of these kind of subconscious things that just, I felt like I've always been a very aesthetically driven person. And as a child, I had a wonderful grandma. I had 2 wonderful grandmothers, but one that was a major influence on my personal style, Miss Catherine W. Benz, who was, I'm originally from Atlanta. And so one of the highlights as a kid for me was going to the Ebony Fashion Fair.
Oh, wow. Man.
I don't know. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I was a wee little thing, and I would get dressed up in my best taffeta and and anything that I was looking forward to shopping. So with my grandmother for the event, one of her best friends who in Atlanta here, it was sponsored by Delta Sigma Theta back in the day. So she's an AKA, we're AKAs, but her best friend is the Delta. Her best friend.
Angela, do you just want to go ahead and...
I already did it.
Her friend was the chair of the committee. And so it was a big to do, and she always had her best friend there right by her side. And I just thought they were so fabulous. And they really shaped my overall, I guess, idea of what fashion, like high fashion. I mean, I'm not sure if the audience is that familiar with the fashion fair, but fashion fair, and of course Ebony magazine. But the impetus was Miss Eunice Johnson, who was just one of the classiest people that I can remember. And so fast forward, I learned later on, because my mom, who was also kind of courted by my grandmother, for my dad, because I'm talking about my father's mother, used to attend with her as well sometimes back in the day before my parents were even married. And she fell in love with Shayla as well, and also with her name. So I got kind of like this, I guess what you call like just ushering into this world inadvertently, and just I loved every minute of it. And then from there on, I just worked really hard to kind of like I was always a unique person. I felt like I tried to be different. I wasn't like always trend driven, but I loved the idea of curating and creating my own personal style. So I did that in every aspect, in every facet of every stage of my life. So that's the long and short of it.
I love the story. All of it brings back memories, the Ebony Fashion Fair, all of that. I never got to go, but obviously you looked at all the fashion in Ebony magazine. Eunice Johnson, definitely an icon in that industry. And it sounds like you were just immersed because of, kind of your grandmother. And I have a grandmother very similar. She was a domestic all her life, but I tell you, when she was dressed to go somewhere, she was dressed. And I love, so I was inspired today by our topic, by you, Lavon, watching your videos. And Sylvia told me to go in the closet and get inspired. So I probably look like a clown, but I love hats.
You look great.
Always love hats. And I was like, oh, they've got ties. Oh, I can tie a tie. At any rate, you get inspired by so many things, in life. And some in similar ways, like you, I wasn't necessarily trendy in high school, only because I couldn't afford to be. But I do definitely remember like doing things different just because I liked it. And I remember that then, and you kind of sometimes you get away from that. So I was inspired today by watching you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I want you to tell our listeners, like, how do you think you can use fashion to tell a story?
For me, I think I think fashion is deeply personal, or style is deeply personal, and how you want to show up in this world, how you present yourself in this world is a very personal experience and process. And albeit whatever your story may be, and different days our story changes, right? Like some days we feel more, we might feel more confident, and maybe we want to exude confidence, or we might feel like we are just, having a moment and we just want to be comfortable. So I think it's, for me, my approach to fashion or style, at least on a daily basis, is really just about how I'm feeling and my personal experience with it that day. Unless it's a themed event, like, you showed up with your tie and like, unless it's something like that, I feel like otherwise you really just, how you show up in the world says a lot about yourself, and your story can change by the day. So I don't like to be a slave to fashion. I do like to, be able to go with the ebbs and flows and still feel comfortable along the way. So that's really important for me.
I like the idea of being comfortable, and fashion being able to change day by day. My mother, who I think my fashion sense comes a lot from, was a big proponent of being appropriately dressed. It's like if you're going to the theater, you want to have on the appropriate attire. So wherever I show up, and my fashion sense, I think, has evolved as I've gotten older, as my body has changed, and hopefully we'll get into that a little bit later. But when I think about fashion now, I'm just in the season of fun and of dresses. I just want a well-fitting dress.
Yes.
But could you kind of tell us about fashion as art? You know, we opened up talking about the Met Gala, Metropolitan Museum of Art is an art gala, is an art museum. But fashion so often is used to, as you mentioned, to tell a story. But how can we think about fashion from the perspective of art and even really personal art for each individual human being?
I think depending upon who you ask, this question is so interesting to me because, you know, I want to say I take my personal style seriously, but I don't take fashion seriously.
Ah,
Like
okay.
it should be fun, just like you said. I think it should be fun, but don't get it twisted. I studied fashion, and I am
Mhm,
very attuned to what it takes to construct a garment.
Mhm.
And even if we go as high as couture,
mhm,
which can be a very creative and artistic process, and you see those in the couture shows in Paris or what have you, and the time, the
Can
effort.
you explain what couture is for our audience?
Okay, so couture. So I think it is a very time intensive and very painstaking idea of what it takes to construct a garment. I think couture is extremely high fashion. It's you dealing with ateliers in Paris a lot of times, most often in Paris, and
When you say atelier,
house just
which
you dealing with,
fashion
I mean,
house?
like Dior, you're dealing with fashion
Dior,
houses. Like, yeah,
Gucci.
it's only
Okay.
certain people that do couture. I can't name them
Okay.
all at the top of my
Okay.
head.
Okay.
But these people are what you would call architects and
Mhm.
true seamstress, true
Yeah.
tailors. They understand fit. They understand art. They are influenced by. I mean, you have these people who are creative directors of these fashion houses, and they work on if they are doing couture collection, they're working on it the entire year. It's the
Mhm,
stitching, it's the finishing, it's the fabrication, it's the silhouette, it's all the things, and
mhm,
they are telling the story. That's who the majority of us and the majority of fast fashion draw inspiration from.
Okay.
So when they pull from the runways, a lot of times your Zara's and your H&M's, your fast fashion,
mhm,
Mhm.
they're pulling directly from them to produce it really quickly and be on trend with whatever they set.
Got
And a
it.
lot of those trends fall suit in other industries. Home, you'll see it
mhm.
especially in home and interiors. I mean, it'll even go as far as the color selection, Pantone picking its
Because there's
color.
a color every year,
It's a
right?
color of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a color of the year, and you'll see that kind of woven even in automotive. Like it's throughout a
And
lot of
today's
different industries.
is our color this year.
What's our color? I'm drawing a blank. I think
Okay. I definitely don't know.
I don't
yeah,
know.
I'm drawing
I-
a blank. The
okay.
color that you have on was definitely the color of the year, maybe like a year or two ago.
I just go with what I think looks good on my
And
skin.
you
So
know
it doesn't
what?
matter.
We'll get
Mm,
it. That's a whole
yeah.
nother point. But
Okay.
absolutely.
Yes.
All of that would be like, I would say, your most artistic and creative form of
Mhm.
fashion expression from a commercial perspective. I
Okay.
mean, who's to say we don't have these people in our own community who
Mhm.
can,
Mhm,
your own seamstress, even the lady who,
Mhm.
might be able to tailor your wedding gown, or like that's a
mhm.
special
Yeah.
level
That's
of,
a skill
that's
set.
a
Skill
skill
set.
that people
Yes.
Mhm,
take for granted.
mhm,
Um, Now, as it relates to personal style, I feel like how we put our items together is where the art can come in, and
mhm,
that is your expression.
Okay.
So, I mean, we have this idea of, I always am a big proponent of people doing what makes them feel comfortable, and
Mhm.
how
mhm,
you show up, like I said earlier,
Mhm.
is your artistic and creative freedom and expression. It's just a way to be your. Now, if you're following, I got some friends who go to the store and will buy off the mannequin, like the whole out. They can't be,
Yeah.
Oh,
but they don't
that's so
have
sad.
it. Wait a minute. And so I, as somebody,
No.
I took for granted for the longest. Like I was like, how could you, like this is, it's just clothes. Like why is it, like, eh. But
Mhm.
people, I had to come to learn that this has been a deeply personal experience and evolution for me, because sometimes I did not see my creativity within this I didn't see it as, I guess, what you would call like it as important.
It's a skill. It's
Yeah.
it's a talent. It's a business.
Yes.
And I'm going to segue us into 6 Degrees of Style, which is your styling company, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. That is my new baby, my boss leap, my leap of faith right
Love
now.
it.
And
Love
leaping, I'm doing all the leaps with this.
I love
and,
it.
and so I am in the process of, believe it or not, I have always enjoyed styling and wanted to do styling. I mean, y'all, it's probably been about at least 2 decades now. I kind of fell into I didn't fall into it. I was intentional with, I went to school, went the traditional route, went to school.
Fashion Institute.
But I started in communications. I went to Clark Atlanta in mass media arts, and my emphasis is in public relations. I graduated with a degree in communications.
Okay.
And I decided my senior year that I don't want to do this. I am not interested in writing press releases all day. And I just didn't want to, I really, really wanted to, I felt this burning desire, believe it or not, to design cowboy boots.
Wow. I said, wow. And I'm loving every part of what you're saying, including the cowboy boots, because I love
I wanted to learn how to design shoes.
Yeah.
I'm a shoe person. I'm a shoe girl.
Too.
I'm an accessory girl. And at the time, I was like, you are about to finish your degree. You can't switch. So we're going to have to figure out something else. And so I decided, I had no theoretical knowledge of fashion. So everything was just, me and my experience as it related to my own personal life. And so I had graduated. I was working. I had got an internship working with a company, a cable HBO at the time. It was a huge thing, and I didn't even really watch television like that. But I was like, it was an opportunity. And Sex and the City was on HBO.
I was going to ask
it
that.
was the heyday. Okay, and
Yes.
so I said, I had the best time, met some of my best friends at that. But while the fortunate thing I had with them was that they were doing tuition reimbursement. I was working here in Atlanta. I up and moved to New York and worked with them during the day and went to FIT at night.
Wow.
And
Fashion Institute of Technology.
Yes, Fashion Institute of Technology. I said, I need to try to get some understanding, a little bit more formal education, because that's what we are always taught we need to do.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
you have good Black parents. Yes.
So I did it. And while I was working full time, I was going to school at night, and I started playing around with another certificate program they had, which was styling. And at that time, styling was more like centered around, I would say, like either if you were working in a magazine, like a fashion magazine, or with celebrities.
Okay.
Yeah, I had no desire. I liked the fashion part of it, the magazine part, but I didn't really want to work with celebrities.
That's a skill set, and that's really ego management.
It's a lot.
It's a different thing. Yes.
It's a totally different thing. And coming from HBO, who had friends who worked with talent and dealing with I was like, I don't know. I really love people. I love women. I like working with women who are just out in the world, and they just have, it's just pure, it's not any pretense. It's not any, but I just want to do that. And so finished the degree, did all of that, and kind of like never did anything with it in terms of my styling. I went on, kept going the corporate route until I finally came to the point where I said, I had a lot of tragedy. I lost my grandmother in 2020. I lost my father first and my grandmother in 2022, like back to back during COVID.
Wow,
and that's how I stumbled into Queenies after a year of grieving and just saying, I need something to do. I need to kind of go after this in a way. Life is too short. And so being there has really been such a blessing and such a um, eye-opening experience, and just really grounded me in that this is what you love. Don't walk away from it. Because I was really like, I don't want to. I had been through all the different. I mean, I've worked at different companies and I've had different experiences. I had grown kind of like, you know, tired of it in a way from a corporate perspective. But I said, you never had the opportunity to really just do what you wanted to do. And that was the styling. Fast forward to here we are. And I said, Vicky, this is what I want to do. How you like it? She loved the idea. And I said, I'm gonna go full
Vicky is
steam.
the owner of.
I'm sorry. Vicky is the owner of the Queenie's Consignment, where I met Miss Sylvia.
Yes.
and so
you may want to qualify, because knowing Sylvia, this is a high-end vintage store.
It is the best consignment shop, I will say, in Atlanta.
Yes.
And I'm biased, of course, but as somebody who's been around the block and seen and done, I mean, if you love labels, and designer and vintage and just contemporary clothing and all the things combined into one, it meshed into one cute little store on Levitt. It's like you can't go wrong. Okay. Plug for Queenies. But I love it. And the women are fabulous, is how I met Levon.
Yes.
And we all have such a good time. And it really was like, all right, once I got anchored in the space and just kind of being there with her, I told her, I pitched the idea to her about doing it for Queenies. And she loved it. And then she said, well, share it, with the rest of the people, rest of the staff, anybody else who might be interested.
Yeah.
Went ahead, shared it. And then I said, well, in case you didn't know, Vicky, I'm going to go full steam ahead.
Yeah.
6 Degrees of Style, which has already been teetering in the background, was born. And now we're styling, I'm trying to style all of Atlanta and all you wonderful women and stylish women, everybody.
So that's a perfect segue into you telling us how you approach mixing like designer pieces with vintage or everyday finds. And I personally love, everything about what you're doing. Number one, styling, and now kind of walking in your purpose, which it sounds like all along it's been. But I do like sustainability. I like the idea of being able to walk into a place and purchasing something that that someone has not thrown away, and it's not going into a landfill. So buying vintage and then maybe mixing it, and I was watching your videos, just really awesome, honestly. But how do you approach like mixing, I guess what we call now the high and low, or whatever
honestly, for me, it's not that strategic. It's more about balance. It's the balance of everything in my closet serves a different purpose. But I've taken time to curate a wardrobe that whether it's vintage or contemporary or designer or a combination of the two, it's either form or function. And so I think when I approach, getting dressed, like this is just a plain dress. Is this Uniqlo? It's just a linen dress from Uniqlo, right? But I think I said, well, this will be boring on camera if I just show up with that. So let me add my grandmother's brooch, which is vintage. It's not a designer piece. It's nothing. It's just, but I don't like to look like I'm walking out of an era. I don't like it to be like, oh, she's giving 70s, 100%. She's giving 80s. This is my personal opinion. I like for things to complement. I don't like for you to be able to look at me and tell what is vintage and what is not. I'm more about quality. And that's across the board. Even with fast fashion, they do produce some quality things, every now and again. But I think that it's more about honestly, my approach with styling and with working with women a lot of times is, do you have certain foundation pieces in your wardrobe?
So tell us what those foundation pieces are. I think, like a black dress, a good pump, a nice suit. And I think the hidden thing is foundations. Do you have the appropriate undergarments? Are your bras fitting? those things. But tell us maybe 3 things that every woman, irrespective of age, should have in her closet.
A wonderful button-down white crisp shirt.
Okay.
I think, of course, like you said, a little black dress for whatever occasion. I mean, we've heard a lot of these, and a comfortable pair of black shoes that could, I mean, if it's 3 things. Now, these shoes, I'm not necessarily saying heels. I'm not necessarily saying flats. But whatever is comfortable for you that you feel like in case you need to throw them on with
you
that.
need a little heel. If it's not, says the doctor, right? It's a 1-inch heel, okay, a little square block. Some of us are 3 or 4 inches. But don't you think every woman needs a little heel?
I mean, you guys, I think a little heel or elevation, albeit how
I like that word. Okay, elevation.
Because as somebody who had 2-foot surgeries, heels were designed by men. I don't know that if you knew that. And
there are some women shoe designers. There are some
initially
shoes.
She's going way back, Sylvia.
Initially,
she's going way back. Not right now.
She's like, let me
Sylvia,
check you
initially,
right
men designed heels.
You're right.
And
all
so,
right, Shayla. Okay.
I think, and I've learned a lot about foot health in addition. So foot health, and I've had plantar fasciitis, I've had torn tendons, I've had surgery, I've had all the things. So I do a little heel, and I love cowboy boots. So my heel a lot of times might be a cowboy boot.
I like that.
I don't dress for, women, they say women dress for themselves, dress for each other. Have y'all ever heard that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I think a lot of times if you are a heel girl, then let it be heels. But those 3 items, if you have a black shoe that is, and when I meant not a tennis shoe necessarily, but a black shoe that is, you can wear with those jeans and white shirt or that little black dress, it will work either way. And there's ways to dress things up without always being in a heel.
Right. So you can wear it to the wedding. You can wear it to the funeral. You can wear it to the interview. You can wear it.
You can, exactly. You can do all the things. And so that's one of those things y'all I take for granted, because I'm like, who doesn't know that you need a dress, a black dress? But you'd be surprised. We have so many people who come into the shop and the foundation is just not there. And I used to be a person who shopped just, if I like it, I'm buying it. I don't care. And then I get home, and this is especially when I was younger, and I'm like, I got this a silver sequins bow tie and a palazzo printed pant, but I don't have a black shirt. I had to mature into.
Are you of the mindset or like a practice of, if I haven't worn it in a year or 2 years, then I need to, say thank you and let it go?
I believe I really want to be that person. I really want to be that person. Why do I want to be it?
I'm sorry, I'm interjecting. I don't want to be that person because there are some things in my closet that need an occasion. I have all my foundations.
It'll find you.
And
what if you keep buying the occasion, well, you can't fit anything in your closet?
My closet is sort of finite. So there's some things that I'm like, But Shayla, you're the guru here. Yes. Am I supposed to be removing things if I haven't worn them? Can you give me 2 years? Give me 2 years.
Let me tell you something. With the big P I'm in now, the big Perry, I have my skinny wardrobe that I refuse to get rid of. And I have what I'm wearing now. And when I say skinny, I mean, 20, 30 pounds ago. I mean, it seemed like just yesterday, it just, came on. And so ushering into these life changes and these body changes is one of those things that I've had to navigate in my own closet. And so
I'm going to interrupt you for a bit. Along that line, tell us, how should our fashion or our closets evolve as we age? You mentioned you're in perimenopause. Angela and I are in menopause. So how should our closets change?
you remember earlier when I said it's deeply personal and you want to evolve? It's fashion is fluid to me.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
just like I started reading this really good book because I started trying to design my home like I do my closet and that didn't work. And I was like, okay, this ain't working. And I said, and so I read this book about slow style. It's just this whole concept of being slow.
Yeah.
Slow, like the slow markets, the slow everything. Just
Slow food movement. Yes.
slow food, slowing down and enjoying the process.
I like that.
And how you feel today, if you said you in your dress mode, you in your dress time. This is dress. You in dress. You want to put on the dress and be done. You don't want to deal with all of the tops and the separates. And if that is where we are, then that is what we do because that's what makes you feel. That's what makes you show up, and that's what makes you feel comfortable getting dressed. And I feel like the biggest thing that you need to focus on is what makes you comfortable. Now, you do need to make sure they fit well. You hit the nail on the head earlier about things fitting. Well, having the proper undergarments. I think as you age and evolve, that is something that you probably will even have more experience with. I keep my seamstress on speed dial because it's very rare nowadays you're going to walk into a store and find items that you could just pick off the rack. I mean, some people are blessed like that, but a lot of us like, this is why I was so excited about the Met Gala because I do like a nice tailored look. And it's not like suited. When I say tailored, I don't mean suited and booted. I mean that you are wearing something that is flattering, whether it's a dress, a separates, and it works well for you and your body type. And I think as women, go through the changes in their, in life changes and body changes, that's the biggest thing that you will do with your wardrobe is make sure your clothes fit. I don't like to see ill-fitting anything. I mean, I know some people want side boob. I mean, like, yes.
Yeah.
Although I am 47, I still work with a lot. I stick with the younger, I like to work with younger people as well. And their ideas are so, I mean, I don't feel like they embrace any trend right now. The young people are kind of like all over the place with it. But we do agree that you don't wear pajamas outside. Like you just don't wear pajamas.
Apparently not. I saw them at the airport along with house shoes. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it's the shoes that to us look like house shoes, but to certain people,
it was a furry
don't function as house shoes, and you can wear them outside. We have.
Yeah.
But I do have a question though. I have seen at meetings, like business talks during the day, women in their 30s wearing what I would classify as clear heeled shoes. And when I grew up, a clear heeled shoe was perhaps for a lady of the evening, but more importantly, it was an evening. I'm going to a club, and I mean a club.
I thought you were going to say on the pole.
Well, I mean,
she probably would have if we had.
I'm trying to, not offend anyone, but it's twice that I have seen clear heeled and clear kind of toe shoes in what I would, A, in the daytime, and B, I would say a business environment. Help me understand that.
But isn't that, I'm sorry, before you answer, Shayla, okay, the clear toe, you got me with that one. But like the clear heel, isn't that kind of like, you don't wear white after a certain day in the fall? Like those rules, haven't they kind of gone away?
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think, Sylvia, I really heard, I know what you're talking about with the original clear shoes, but I never heard that was associated necessarily with just that. Because Manolo has some fabulous shoes that are clear or PVC. Now, for me, I can't do it because my feet sweat and I don't like the plastic
it's
shoes.
2 point. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like to have, I studied shoe design, so I like to have more stacked heels. I'm not that I don't own anywhere, it's just the plastic heel that you glue on. But I feel like it just depends for me. I don't subscribe to any rules when it comes to fashion. I do what what looks good. And I think they have, a matter of fact, we had some little kitten clear heels in the shop. And I said, oh, okay, these aren't that bad. But if you have that one outfit that you just like, my shoes would take away from what I'm wearing. And I just want to have shoes on my feet, but they don't need to be the focal point. A nice little clear shoe. I've worn clear shoes in weddings. I don't know. That was what the bride picked. You know, it really just depends on the circumstance. I'm very visual, so it's hard for me to just say, like, I don't believe in not wearing white after Labor Day. I do know winter white versus, I love white. I love black. I'm a black and white together combo type girl. So I think it just really depends on what looks good. Honestly, I'm all driven by aesthetics. Honestly, that's 100% me.
So I'm hearing that perhaps I should open my mind and I ought not be distracted by the clear heel in a work environment.
Yes, I think that don't be too rigid with your with clothing. You know, I mean, not that you.
No, you're right.
Now, you know, like just it's fun. Remember, did she look nice?
Yeah, she did. She really did. I felt like my mother. I think we're having this conversation. It's a little bit of therapy for me. I could hear my mother saying, that young lady has on clear shoes. Why does she have on clear shoes? So I think I'm giving that horrible auntie that you don't want to be. So thank you for.
I'm going to add to what you're saying. So because this is a conversation that I've had with my girls is know your audience. Because if you are walking into an audience of people of the generation that grew up like we did, then whether you like it or not, if this is something that you're like going for a job interview, you may be perceived a certain way if you are in a red suit for your interview when that person grew up knowing that you're supposed to wear black and blue or a darker color. And so kind of know what the situation is. I personally am more of a non-rule person these days.
Yeah, can I just chime in on what you said? Because I feel like, Angela, these type of, I remember growing up thinking like, ooh, like the dark suit, all of the things you go for the interview. Like, I feel like, you know, Gen X, like we just really had, unless you were in banking and finance, even trying to go for a fashion interview, I used to struggle with that. And I'm like showing up and I'm like, these kids look like, and then we kind of like, it's kind of like you telling on yourself.
Yes.
That, and then also too, we also sometimes, and this is, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Sometimes when you grew up a certain way, we don't necessarily understand that. I don't know, you know, what people's background are, and maybe we were fortunate enough, I would use that word, to have women who instill certain things in us about how you show up, especially pulling from those times back when people dressed a little differently. And so sometimes we have to be careful about, like, just assume. Sometimes I feel like you have to assume, you can't assume that people always have the same standing. And I think, you know, everybody, you never know where they, you know, maybe that was the best they could do, or as long as they show up in a way where it doesn't seem like a clear shoe is probably the least I would think of if she's dressed really well. And I don't mean to, like, I'm not.
No.
I have to catch myself sometimes because one thing that I do love about fashion is that it's a connector. And no matter what your socioeconomic background is, what your upbringing, where you know, where you went to school, so on and so forth, style is style. And I think that's one thing that I love about it. It doesn't, I mean, yeah, you can have on, I know people, you can afford, they can wear Givenchy and like all the labels and still look, you know, mediocre at best.
Horrible.
And, you know, I think I tend to look at the overall aesthetic of how somebody presents themselves. And
I want to pull a thread out, because I think what we are dancing around is, you know, when I grew up, the Black respectability. So you had to show up dressed a particular way so that perhaps you would better fit in or be more accepted by whatever the masses are.
Yeah.
And I am hopeful that at this point in 2025, that is not such a big box that we have to be in, and that we can, in fact, show our talents and our skills and those things, and they speak louder than I have a dark suit on.
Right. Exactly.
So, Shayla, in your imagining wonderful closet of all types of clothing, do you have a favorite article of clothing?
I
Or
do
a couple
not.
pieces? No?
I do not have a favorite. I thought about that, think about that question long and hard. I do not have a favorite.
Okay.
I do not have a favorite color either. People always ask
Mm.
about favorite black,
Yes.
all things black.
Black is beautiful.
Black.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like, especially in this season, I try to pull away from it as best I can. But I feel like it just does what it needs to do. It's slimming.
Mhm.
It's gonna be on one aspect of my
Mhm.
body. I'm not it's gonna be a shoe, it's gonna be a top, it's gonna be an undershirt, it's gonna be something, but I feel like it's just so chic always. You can elevate it, you can make it casual, but I do think I would lend to say more like an article of clothing that I will keep always is a button shirt. I have button down dress. I have button down shirts in every color. I have multiple ones in white. I have multiple ones in black. It's like the same to whether they're short sleeve, long, over tunic style, all the things. But I am somebody who personally loves to go for a more I like menswear. That's why I was also excited about me. I like I really do like menswear. I like androgynous fashion.
Yeah.
I don't tend to dress for what people say the male gaze. I probably am more or less I'm probably not as ultra feminine and flirty. I like really chic, edgy architectural design. I love things that are unique and I just like well designed things. I think.
So two questions come to mind. First, what was the last article of clothing that you purchased? And then secondly, of all of the looks at the Met Gala, I know this is a big question. Did you have some favorites?
Okay, I'll start with the last question first.
Okay.
Met Gala, I just think, okay, Tom Brown's looks just knocked it out the park for me. I mean, but I think the people who did the Met Gala this year very well were people who had their basis of their line or their business in menswear and suiting. So like Tom Brown is a men's designer. I mean, he designs for women too. But Janelle Monáe's look, of course.
Oh,
I mean, she just always kills it.
She kills it.
But this was her time to shine. The tailoring.
And that's her wheelhouse too.
That is her
She's
wheelhouse.
Been doing that forever.
She's been doing it forever. I was expecting her to show up as she did very well. Jodie Turner-Smith. Do y'all know her?
She's beautiful.
She's gorgeous.
Yes.
First of all, she's gorgeous. Let's just say. Second of all, she was in Burberry, I believe, and it was a full-on snakeskin suited up garb with the top hat, the
I saw that. Yes.
Details. It was. I probably would have gone, and it was similar to your color, the beret, your color, the burgundy. It was kind of that, but I wish she would have done that in just a lighter, like even if but it was snake skin. So yeah, no, I love skin. So it was like a snake skin. I don't think it was leather, but I'm gonna leather, pleather-ish type of fabric.
For our PETA people, yes.
I just wish it was a little lighter contrast. It was a little dark for me, but I feel like if it was just a little lighter, like she would have killed that even more. Oh, Usher Raymond's.
Oh.
Raymond's new wife, I don't remember. I think her name is Jennifer.
I don't know.
They were Ralph Lauren. Again, Ralph Lauren. There was so many. I felt like on the Met Gala, what we saw on the carpet wasn't all. It was like those looks of people who didn't walk on the carpet. And some of these people I don't know, like they're like influencers and younger artists. They may or may not like. I was like kept seeing people after the fact. Who I was like, now where was she? Not everybody walks on the carpet. I kept seeing like these really like awesome. I don't know who these like. I really didn't know who they were, and I kept trying to learn. But the way my mind's set up right now, I was like, okay, it was so much going on, and I was like, this is. But I felt like those were my top three that showed on the carpet. Like a couple of like those are my top three, and The last item I bought, what did I buy? I bought some, I need some cutoff jean shorts. I bought some
Oh, like
from
festival
Queen.
season, summer in Atlanta.
Yeah, just summer. I don't really have a lot of, I don't tend to wear shorts. So some came through the shop. And that's another thing working there. You can't ever
Yeah,
save
right.
anything. So
Yeah.
some came through the shop and I bought another white button down top. I bought all this on the same day, the shorts, the top, and then this really cool like Issey Miyake black, like it's like I don't know if you're familiar with Issey Miyake, but he does this
I do know.
pleating
Okay.
technique, and so it's really great on a lot of different body types. So I tend to when I find them, I tend to grasp them. I mean, go grab them up. So that's what I bought. That was the most recent thing I bought.
Talk to me about wearing kind of a button down shirt. My issue with a button down shirt, and I'm sure you're going to tell me I need to get them tailored, is that I need more space for the girls, but I need less blousiness sort of at the bottom because then it doesn't give me a good enough silhouette. And if you go smaller, then it's pulling. And even if you put on a minimizer and you have that thing that you got to hook in the back to keep the girls up and back, it's just not comfortable. So how do you, what foundations, I think is really my question, do you wear under a button down shirt?
A lot of times I layer my button down. I don't just wear them. I mean, like I'll layer them under other stuff, but especially if I know it's not the best fitting. But
Yeah.
if it's one that I need to wear out, foundationally, I mean, you would just, like you said, I would think you would wear either like some type of, if you really wanted to lay flat, you would put on the proper undergarment, like a Spanx or something that, like a cami Spanx.
Yeah.
I know.
That's
Look,
what I was thinking. It's hot,
and
girl.
if you want it's hot, right? Otherwise, you go buy it bigger and have it tailored. So you knew the answer to that question.
Mhm.
Because I don't know about you, but I like men's, I buy men's shirts sometimes too. I don't just
Oh.
shop. I shop men's probably just as much as I shop
So
women.
how do you know which men's shirt to the sizing? Yeah.
You know what's great about your bra sizing? It's a 36, it's a 38, it's a 40. Men's shirts come in chest measurements. So if you know you wear a 44 double D, or you know you need your chest, you need a men's shirt that's at least 44 inches.
Oh, wow.
That's the size of your bra. So I feel like, and then you can go if you find the vintage one. I mean, like that men's sizing is very straightforward. We have vanity sizing. So
we do indeed.
What women have a lot of times, and I've been in fits for different brands. It's just a woman. They have a Missy, a petite Missy, and plus size model that they base their whole collection off of.
Yes.
And that body is nuanced. And so if it's a company and they just use that, sometimes it doesn't necessarily cater to every shape. So that's why some people can wear other brands. Some people might wear J. Crew. Some people can't wear J. Crew. They might need banana and so on and so forth. So it's really about finding brands too that work well, because a lot of times it's more consistent with the styling. Now with fast fashion, it's a little different because they're pumping out. They have a general fit, but they're pumping out things so quick on the assembly line. It may or may not be just right. But if you stay J. Crew level on up, like if you like Vince, if we're talking about like these type of like Taylor, certain brands you can go to and find, that's what they do.
Truth be told, Ann Taylor,
Ann Taylor
dress.
I have an Ann Taylor white shirt that I don't get rid of too. Because
I think that is the value of getting older, is you learn what brands fit you well. It's much easier to shop that way. Can you tell us right now what trends you're seeing like in 2025 in terms of fashion? Maybe not necessarily to pattern ourselves after to go buy that, but just in terms of what the trends are, and any in particular that you like.
I keep saying this, but I think the Met Gala just like you showed up today, I feel like everybody's wearing like a suit, a tie. We're going the departure from these labels into more or less what they call quiet luxury. It's really big now. You're not seeing all of the monogram things as much as you used to. People are I love the fact that women, I mean, to me, I can't turn on the TV without seeing somebody in a tie. Have y'all seen that? Like, that's everywhere now.
I haven't really paid attention. I actually was watching you all, so that's what I
Oh,
got inspired today. But I
well,
have seen more of it.
I feel like we're moving more back into classic, more tailored silhouettes and just quiet luxury overall, which I love personally. I'm gonna love this new era of trends. And it seems like maybe more softer silhouettes. I feel like a little bit more flirty. But I'm enjoying the departure from the in your face kind of thing to pulling back a little bit more. And now just we'll see how long this lasts. But that's what I see. I think that works well for us too, especially in this time in our lives. Like you can go to a store now and find something. I know a lot of my friends and people say, I can't find anything in the store. It's too much. It's too busy. It's too short. It's too tight. Y'all remember when everybody was in bodycon dresses? Everybody, some people don't want to wear that all the time.
Well, along those lines, can you tell us how you think we should approach fashion and how it evolves as we age, as we get older? And we talked about rules earlier, so I understand we're both along the same lines of not necessarily following specific rules, but anything advice as we approach the changes?
I think you find like Sylvia talked earlier about she's in her dress era. And I think you know what colors look good on you.
Yeah.
By now, I feel like by now, not everybody, what silhouettes work well, and you lean into that in any shape or form. You can trend up or trend down based on like little accessories and things like that. But if you know a fit and flare is your thing, if you know a wrap dress is your thing, if you know you look good in jumpsuits, if you look good, if you got you bottom heavy and you want to focus more on, things that have more of a flare that aren't so straight, or if you want to lean into being, showing off your curves more. Some people are more comfortable with that. I just think, you do what you do and do it to the fullest. Like if your color is red or burgundy, then, you should have a good amount of that because it's not going to change.
Right.
Your skin tone, you might get, you might tan. You might, you might tan in the summertime, but burgundy is gonna work on you. So that's what you get from you'll have something in burgundy from your hat to your lips to your accessories to a shoe, and then you just work around that.
Love that.
I love it. Well, we always ask all of our guests on Boss Sleep what their self-care regime is. So can you share with us what your self-care regime is or what you aspire your self-care regime to be?
I think I am big on rest, like whatever that looks and feels like. I try to make sure that I shoot. They say you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. I shoot for 9, and then if I fall a little bit short, because when I'm not rested, I'm not good. I love my lazy Sundays. That's what I call them. Like today is going to be. I love a good walk in the park. I walk a couple times a week in the trail over here, and I savor that time. That's getting hot, so I need to get up and get out earlier. But long walks they definitely help ground me. Keep me from just getting too overwhelmed and managing my stress level. So
great advice. Love the rest, the walking, all of that. And I know that after listening to this episode, there are going to be so many people like me that would love to work with somebody like you. So I have events, I want to go to, and just in general, things that I may want to add to my closet or detract. And I love your idea of, just being your own individual and not necessarily being adherent to any trends. So any last words or advice that you would give our audience? And actually, probably more importantly, can you give us the ways in which our audience could reach you and work with you?
I am 6 degrees. You can find my website is www. Do people say www? No, I know.
Sylvia does, but you don't have to.
I know. That's my homegirl was like, don't say that, Shayla. It's going to show you too. Oh, okay. So 6degreesofstyle.com. is my website. You can reach out to me there. I'm on IG at 6 Degrees of Style.
And that's the number 6 spelled, right?
Yes, the number 6
Okay.
spelled.
SIX.
SIX,
Okay.
Degrees of Style. And or come see me at the shop at Queenie's. Oh, it's the either or, but I'm not hard to find. 6 Degrees of Style. Just
Okay. All right. Very
Well,
good.
Shayla Benz of 6 Degrees of Style, I want to thank you. We at Boss Leap want to thank you for help to elevate our wardrobe and helping us to understand that fashion is a reflection of who we are. So Shayla Benz, thank you and may you be well.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Absolutely. We loved having you. Thank you. Oh, Sylvia, that was so much fun. I love all things fashion and style. And I guess, just like I said, fun. I love things that make you smile, make you laugh, and bring you joy. And I certainly think that along the way in the years of, growing to where I am now, I recognize how fashion can continue to be fun, as you mentioned. And even today, I think one of the pearls that I had, today was, you told me to go in the closet and pick something that inspires you. And I had also, looked at Shayla's website and her Instagram posts and was thinking,
which are fire.
And it was so much fun. And I was like, oh yeah, I do. What about my hats? I don't, and I was inspired by all the pins, that they mentioned that was, used at the Met Gala, and thinking about things that mine's kind of covered, but my grandmother's pin, and the suits, the tailoring, the ties, all of that. I was like, that is fun. And I can, I mean, who knows what this looks like on camera, but
it looks fantastic.
It was fun doing it. And so one of the pearls was, have fun with fashion and do what feels right to you, because style is personal, she said, and it can change based on the day. And that is so true for me, because I love, my Birks, blue jeans, and a white t-shirt or a white shirt, because that is kind of, I think, my idea of comfort and style. And you put a pair of hoops on, but that alone doesn't define me. I like my, green jumpsuit with the bow tie. I like the suits. And so your style is not one thing. It can change based on the day, and you can just get different inspiration along the way. This is just a fun episode, very light, but I thought a lot of pearls, and definitely Shayla looks like someone I would love, to work with, in just kind of curating, certain looks that I'd want to do that may not necessarily have the time to do, or I'm just not as adept at it as she is. So I loved her philosophy on fashion. How about you?
Definitely. And, Shayla reminds us that, styling, it's a skill set. And it's really important to have certain basic pieces in your closet and to do what you do. And this is her quote: do what you do and do it to the fullest.
Yes.
So I love that she's sort of embracing the best of each individual. And that's what you're going to put out in the world. And as you mentioned, those things change from day to day, because we don't always feel the same day to day. And where we're going and what we're doing is not always the same day to day.
Yeah.
She also mentioned some really key self-care techniques that we will have you listen to the full episode in order to get. But it's just a fantastic conversation, and we all have to get dressed in the morning to go out into the world. And it's a reminder that fashion is fun, yet deeply personal.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that was a wonderful episode to be a part of. So I thank you for being on the journey with me. And to our listeners, we would love for you to listen, follow, subscribe, like, and you can also check out our website, which is bossleap.com. That's boss, BOSSLEAP, podcast.com. And we would love to hear what your insights might be, what you would like to hear, and any ideas for future episodes.
Thank you, and may you be well.
May you be well.
That's a wrap on another episode of Boss Leap. May this conversation enlighten your path toward personal growth and professional empowerment. For more thought-provoking and eye-opening discussions like this one, head to our website at bossleappodcast.com. Always remember to celebrate your wins and trust yourself. A positive mindset can push you out of your comfort zone and into far greater heights. Until next time, may you be well.
Before we go, there's one more thing the lawyers have asked us to include. You know, it's the legal language. And you know how doctors love lawyers. This podcast is presented only for educational and entertainment purposes. Although we are doctors, on this show, we are just your friends. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. Understood? Awesome. We'll see you in the next episode.